Officer was refused seating in the carriage by the man. She then leaves him a letter. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Gazing about her, Jessica saw that everyone was crammed into a tiny area with little room for her legs to spread. It was going to be a long flight, she sighed. However, she became even more nervous as soon as she settled into her seat. She knew she would feel uncomfortable that day, but she was not prepared for the level of discomfort. A guy approached her directly as she began to get into the seat and forbade her from doing so. She did not know why, but she knew the moment he opened his mouth, and she had to respond accordingly. Jessica had spent some time as a military recruit. Everybody, despite having received training for a variety of scenarios, her training abruptly disappeared from her mind as this man charged toward her. She was trembling. What did that day on that plane hold for her? She was en route to her holiday residence. She was eager to see her loved ones. She hadn't seen them in far too long, and living so far away had been gradually breaking her heart. Nevertheless, she understood that what she was doing was for her nation, and she placed far greater value on it. She went to the boarding gate after grabbing her passport, but she sensed something was wrong as soon as she turned to seek for her seat. That day was just incorrect. Traveling by air can be daunting and even frightening for some people. It is the most efficient method to go from point A to point B quickly, even if you are crammed into a little area with little to no room for comfort. And on the day she was supposed to take off, Jessica knew exactly what she wanted. She knew there wouldn't be any open seats for her to stretch her legs or have extra room because it was completely booked. She had no idea that someone would fulfill her dream. Jessica battles against all obstacles as a military officer to keep the nation secure, and we should all be a bit more appreciative of their work. However, that day, there was one chap in particular who knew just what to do. Some people really can't travel in greater luxury, even if we would all prefer to. Since tickets for business and first classes are far more expensive than those for economy, the majority of us should expect a somewhat miserable journey. Jessica had no idea that day would not be as awful as she had anticipated. She headed to the back of the aircraft while wearing her uniform and carrying her bag over her shoulder. She had a ways to go before she could be seated because her boarding card said that she was in 31B. She peered at the business class seats as soon as she got on board. They appeared to be quite roomy and cozy, yet she could never be able to afford them. Jessica was unaware that someone was discreetly discussing her with the flight hostess while she was searching for a seat. She continued to yank her possessions around until at last the row of 31 chairs drew into view. She took her shoulder bag, put it in the overhead bin, and took a seat. However, 10 minutes grew to 15, then 20. This plane's takeoff appeared to be delayed. Jessica couldn't get rid of the uneasy sensation she was having on this flight. Normally, poor weather causes flights to be delayed, but today the skies were clean. She looked around for a flight attendant to inquire why the delay, but none was visible. Then she heard whispers, tense sounds. What was happening? Jessica then noticed that the cabin crew was acting oddly. They hurried to gather in a corner of the aircraft amid a surreptitious bustle of activity. What was happening? She would soon notice that someone was abruptly approaching her and that they were discussing one of the passengers. The flight attendants were hiding their faces with their hands as they giggled a little. She was not at all pleased with what was going on. It was clear that they were discussing her. When she traveled in her uniform, she was used to looks and murmurs. But this time, there was something different. Jessica ultimately chose to ignore it, but she couldn't shake her uneasy feeling. Jessica was worn out, and though her muscles were tense, her extensive military training had created muscle memory that she could recall quickly in an emergency. Today, she wanted no problems at all. Even if she wasn't on duty, she never knew when she might need to neutralize a threat. That's when she became aware of him. Jessica couldn't help but notice the stranger's good looks as he stood erect. His blue eyes gleamed, and his features were exquisite. He wore a suit and tie with style. She wondered half-heartedly if he would ask for her phone number. He was approaching her with such assurance and determination. Even though she had witnessed it 100 times, her education and life experience could never have readied her to receive what he truly desired. Jessica felt his deliberate approach, and her mind began to race. It felt like a long time before he got to her. The odd man then did something that validated Jessica's fears. Jessica could see his intents on his face as he opened his mouth to speak. However, he then made an entirely unexpected statement. The man moved in closer, gesturing to her chair. Then he told her that seat was taken without missing a beat. Jessica's eyes widened as she cast a doubtful glance about. How dare he? She thought to herself. I'm occupying your seat, he urged. She didn't know what he was discussing. Angrily, what does your ticket say? He inquired. What? No, Jessica responded. I'm in 31B. She was not going to be duped. Her ticket said 31B right on it. She verified while on her feet and realized she was correct. She was not going to give up. What kind of game was this man playing, and who did he think he was? The flight attendants only nodded their heads as she turned to them for help. However, the unfamiliar person clarified. She was not allowed to hold the seat since she was a military officer. He informed her that although he appreciated the hard job she did every day to protect Americans, he required her to take a seat someplace else. Jessica listened to his justification with patience, but she was taken totally by surprise. The weird guy stated he would be obliged if she would take his ticket in business class as a token of appreciation for all the effort she puts out each day. Startled, Jessica attempted to decline the thoughtful man's offer, but he persisted. He offered her his seat, and she ascended via the narrow passageway of the aircraft. Her body yearned for the more roomy and comfy chairs, even though she could not believe what had just transpired. How was she going to pay him back? She'd been working long days as an officer in the military awaiting commissioning. Her muscles hurt and her body ached. When Jessica got home and could finally relax, she believed that all of her hard work would pay off, but the mystery man had given her the greatest present she might possibly request. Jessica was consumed by thoughts of the man who had given up his seat. The gentleman appeared bigger and more rounded than she was, and she couldn't fathom how unpleasant the small economy seats would be for him in comparison. Feeling awful, she tried to think of something that might cheer him up. She didn't know how she might improve the comfort of his flight. She made the decision to approach a flight attendant. Regretfully, she was limited in her options. First-class items could not be sent to economy. She needed to come up with another idea, and she did. It's likely that the amazing Enigma man was quite uncomfortable on his chair. Jessica, though, was unable to change that. She was aware that he would vehemently object if she returned his first-class seat. She took out a piece of paper, wrote something on it, and tied a $20 note to it. She then asked the stewardess to take it from her. The man's eyes grew wide as he opened the message. The message said, "If everyone treated people the way you treated the servicewoman, the world would be a better place." She also requested him to bring her some food and beverages, but he naturally declined. Jessica did get another message from the mysterious man, though, and she couldn't help but grin when she saw it. He had turned down her proposal, yet suggested that they get together when their plane arrived and serve him dinner? Was there a date involved here? Jessica typed back another message, her stomach lurching. She accepted, of course. She was totally enamored with the man after his kind gesture. Soon after their jet landed, the two met at a restaurant, and Jessica was so excited that she forgot she was tired. She never would have imagined that she would experience anything straight out of a fairy tale, and on an aircraft, no less. Jessica never imagined that she would receive so much to treasure on what was supposed to be a difficult day. But she did, and it was all because of these gentlemen. The message touched him deeply, and he thanked her, but he declined the money. Another passenger on the aircraft saw everything and had to tell the tale as it quickly gained popularity. Jessica Titus, another woman, saw the entire event. She shared this amazing story of understanding and compassion because she had to. Within an hour of her posting the tale, over 4,000 individuals had shared it. Many individuals gathered and exchanged similar experiences. One woman, Kate Nixon, said that on their way back from California, someone had done the same thing for her husband, who was also in the Army. That kind of gesture stunned them. What wonderful individuals! It is not often that we witness people with genuine hearts, yet they do exist. Through posting the narrative on social media, The unidentified man received praise and commended for an action he did not wish to get recognition for. All he did was act out of pure kindness. There should be more people like that in the world. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.